I've been through a ton of setups over the years as a UX designer, and about 6 months ago, I switched to a 40-inch ultra-wide monitor. Previously, I had an Apple Studio display, and honestly, this is the best monitor I've ever had. But about a year ago, I started to notice that my workflow had changed quite a bit. At the time, I was a UX manager, and I was starting to use more and more AI tools, and noticed how much multitasking became part of my day. I kept feeling like the 27-inch setup just wasn't enough. So I tried setting up portable monitors. I used my laptop open next to it. I even bought like a cheap 24-inch monitor. And no matter what I tried, I just couldn't feel like it was one cohesive setup. And so I decided to sacrifice the beautiful 5K display in favor of more real estate. And I switched to this 40-inch LG monitor. It's been about 7 or 8 months now, and I feel like I finally landed on a setup that works every day without getting distracted. So in this video, I wanted to walk through my day by day as I use a ultra wide monitor and what that looks like as a software designer. So the first problem I ran into was actually feeling very overwhelmed by how many windows you can fit on screen. And I had to quickly figure out a way to organize all my windows because it often looks something like this. I was always switching in and out of my notes, going to Slack, opening to-dos, and then switching over to edit photos or designing in Figma or whatever the main task was. I actually found it really tough when I needed to go into more of that focus mode. On a 27-inch monitor, what this looked like was pretty much just going full screen. But if you do that on an ultra wide, while yes, it's really helpful, I found that I actually rarely needed this much space for that one app. So the first thing I needed to fix was having some proper way to organize and manage my windows. And the tool I've been using for years is an app called Swish. If you're a Magic Trackpad user, then this app is definitely for you. The way that it works is if you hover over the menu bar of any app, you can use the gestures on the trackpad. So if I swipe up, it'll automatically full screen. But if I swipe up and then go to the right, you can see I can actually shift things to quadrants or even halves. If you add like a hotkey to the mix, you can actually have custom shortcuts like having thirds or top thirds if you just want to separate it that way. And so this became a really quick way to quickly snap apps into place. And this was helpful, but the thing that actually made it work was actually dedicating specific regions of the window to types of apps and grouping them together. So trying to group all of my main focus workspace apps on the right using the majority of the monitor, about 2/3, and then having my assistant type tools on the left. So on the left, I'll have my to-dos, I can have Bear, and to just quickly shift it, I can hold shift and swipe it like that, and it immediately snaps into place. The other nice thing about Swish is if you click and drag, it automatically resizes back to the way it was. Now, if you're more of a mouse user, this is my Logitech MX Master 4, then you can use an app called Magnet. I'm often switching between my trackpad and mouse just because I feel like I'm developing some sort of tennis elbow working long hours at my desk. So actually switching throughout the day is really healthy. But the way that Magnet works is you can set up different hot zones. So I can actually drag to bottom corners, and I've set up this bottom region here to always be 2/3, and then this section on the left to be 1/3. So on the right, like I said, these are my focus workspace apps. This is going to look like Cursor. It's going to be Notion, Figma, anywhere where I just need a ton of real estate. Notion, very specifically, is not one of the 1/3 apps because I always need real estate with Notion, whether it's using Notion AI or just jumping in and out of windows with the side drawer that comes in. I find myself always needing more space, so I actually just shifted that to be the 2/3. And it also helps reduce the amount of multitasking. Every now and then, I do need like a Notion page, whether it's like my notes here. I'll typically open that up, and I can actually just drag that out and make that a 1/3, but keep the main window open. So if I do need to reference it for something, I'm moving stuff in from Figma or whatever, then I do have that as a reference, but not the entire app. So again, trying to keep things focused if it's on the third, and then if you do need the real estate, giving the rest of the monitor for that. It works out really well because 2/3 of a 40-inch monitor is almost exactly 27 inches. So essentially, I get a full 27-inch monitor on the right plus another third on the left. So basically everything I was trying to recreate back in the day with my 14-inch laptop and my 27-inch monitor, I get all side by side without having to have two separate setups or a bezel right in the middle. The other tool I'll just throw out there that I haven't used a ton, but I know a lot of people use is Raycast window management. So if you're more of a keyboard-driven user, you can set up Raycast. If you head in there and look up the window management settings under extensions, you can actually program a ton of different shortcuts for how you navigate those different thirds. All the same stuff that I just showed you in the other two, you get completely free inside of Raycast. So if you much prefer keyboard or you want to do some hybrid setup, you could also do that as well. So I've been using this setup for about 3 or 4 months now, every single day. And I found that it really helps my productivity, not just because everything has a place now, but also because it's really flexible when you're switching between different types of tasks. As a UX designer, using a ton of different AI tools and also pulling context from tons of different places, whether it's in Notion or Figma or doing research, I found that I do actually need this type of hybrid but modular setup. So throughout my day at work, I typically have my notes and tasks here on the left. And I did a video on my personal channel talking about how I plan my week and organize my tasks. And I always keep those windows here on the first third so that if I quickly need to do a brain dump or reference something, I'm not having to click and search around, especially because my company uses Notion so much. I just get very lost in Notion trying to get to something quickly. Great tool for documentation. Love how collaborative it is. Love the Notion AI features. But trying to get something quickly into Notion and getting it to the right place, I found was way too difficult if you're in a meeting or just trying to write something down. So I kind of have this scratch pad on the left, and I have a log of all the things I got done and kind of list out my goals. But then I also have my tasks up here. So if I need to break down a project or reference something quickly in a meeting, then I have that here while still sharing an app on the right and not compromising or sacrificing real estate. I also wanted to demo what a focus session would look like for me when I kind of enter a deep work session with this setup. So as a product designer, there's a lot of context switching, and I've tried to reduce that by grouping these windows together, but I also try and go through kind of a linear flow of either like admin and maintenance, where I'm looking over meeting notes, looking at my to-dos, and kind of prepping a session. All of that will happen here inside of Things. This is my main to-do app. So let's just say I have a project to like design the dashboard. I might actually have some notes in here that link out to a specific meeting note in Notion. I'll actually put it in here in the notes. This could also be a link to a Jira ticket. And if it's just one small task, I'll just leave it at that. But if there's specific feedback or comments I've gotten from engineers or anyone else in the meeting, I actually like to build this little checklist inside the task. So it could look something like add the avatar to the header. It could say, clean up the modal for confirmation. And I'll basically break down any specific subtasks that I know I'm going to have to go through before I jump into the actual design work. I actually like to do this during a meeting. So at the end of a stand-up or whatever the meeting is, I can just quickly run through, hey, I'm going to design the dashboard. I'm touching on these 2 or 3 things. Then as far as meeting notes go, I use Notion AI to transcribe almost every single meeting I'm in. And so I'll typically jump into my workspace there, and I'll just do a quick brain dump of any meeting I can think of that had this project mentioned, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. I use Whisper Flow, which just lets me brain dump and it'll transcribe really nicely. So it'll look something like this. I recently met with the PM on Project A, and I know that you last week. Can you summarize the specific decisions that we made and also any specific tasks that you find? I don't have Notion AI on my personal account, but I would then enter that. It would look at all the meetings for context and then give me an extra checklist that I could pull back into my tasks. So that's some of the prep work I'll do, and this can take anywhere from 5 to maybe 20 minutes. It's not a significant amount of time. It's just to kind of get momentum and make sure I'm not missing anything. So once I kind of get into a flow state, I can keep executing on tasks. So I'll switch over to FigJam, and I'll typically be adding reference photos, any type of visualizations for the user flows, things like that. This is where like FigJam templates come into play and are really helpful. So you could search for something like user flow, and there's so many in the community you could drag in here. So if I'm doing like a whiteboarding session with an engineer and maybe a product manager, we could drag in some of these exercises and just make sure we're mapping everything really nicely. And you'd be amazed how impactful doing this up front how much time it saves you when you're designing in Figma or if you're switching over to code. I've planned a whole bunch of separate videos to talk about why designers should be focusing more and more on this part of the process and less time making Figma prototypes, high fidelity mockups, or worse, just jumping straight into AI coding. That being said, I'll put all of my thoughts and all the storyboarding and anything else that's needed in FigJam, and then I'll typically switch over to Figma to do a couple of key screen designs. Now, these designs are often not that pretty. This was like a really quick design I made for a bookshelf app for my digital garden, but I was trying to visualize what this could look like, and I was honestly just dragging in some SVGs and playing around with rectangles, because I didn't want to get caught up in making sure auto layout and components and variables were all perfect and actually let that get in the way of what the actual layout should be or what elements need to be on screen. So I try and keep this as low fidelity as possible. Even having text in here is like a step more than I'd normally do. I've also experimented with using my iPad mini to jump into Figma and do really quick like fat marker sketches as visuals. I might go back and forth on this part of the process and using some of those sketches, jumping back into the user flow or some of the other documentation we have here and starting to map them saying, hey, we said we'd have a pop-up on step 3. This was a quick scribble I had ready for that. And then we could go back and forth as a design team with the engineers, whoever else is needed. And we can have all of those revisions without me having to go do a lot of the high fidelity stuff. Things definitely scale from there, and I'll start doing more typical high fidelity mockups, and I might bring back in some of those reference photos. I'll bring in some of the assets in here. So if developers are jumping in, they can export some of those, but we can get a sense of like what one or two of those key screens could look like without me having, again, to do tons of prototyping. So once I've got these key screens, then I actually jump over into Cursor. And again, you can kind of see how I'm switching from FigJam to Notion to Figma and then Cursor here while still having my notes and still having my tasks. So that's not changing on the left, but the moment I need to reference something, I can quickly drop a thought, add another subtask as the project grows and grows, or just check things off as I'm making progress. So from Cursor, I'll do my thing in here. Again, a lot more brain dumping. I'll link back to Figma designs. So if I had something in here that I wanted to recreate, I would copy that, jump over to a new agent and paste that in, and then start saying, I want you to rebuild this screen, pay attention to the different components we're using. There should be a hamburger menu at the top with these different options. And I'll actually just vocalize all of that, typically jump into like a plan mode, build a PRD, go from there with all the revisions. I can pull up my local host to test that now in Chrome. This is another 2/3 app. And that's kind of an end-to-end of having my assistants on the left while also having my primary workspace on the right. Every now and then, I do want to get some more real estate from the apps on the left, and it's really easy to just click and drag them with those apps that I mentioned because they couldn't automatically snap into place. But for something like Bear, where I always want to have my weekly note open, I like to open the dedicated note as a separate window. So I'll snap back to this main view, and let's say I wanted to open my script here for the video. I could actually open this up, and I already had it open on the 2/3, so it automatically snapped. But I could have these open side by side, where maybe my weekly notes on the left, and then I could have more of a focused writing space to get all my thoughts. So whatever that looks like for you, being able to split them up so you're not disrupting and making it easy to come back to that assistant mode has been a really nice trick. So hopefully this video helps someone out there, especially if you're looking at getting an ultra-wide monitor or if you have one and you've been struggling. I know for me, I could not find many workflow specific videos around an ultra-wide monitor on YouTube or even browsing Reddit. So I'd love to hear if you do have one, how you're setting it up, or even if you're just using a regular monitor, what your day-to-day setup looks like. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.